Well, jolly good. I'm on. I will mute myself now.
Hello?
So let me just start off with some COVID updates. We'll start off with that. We'll talk a little bit about our stats, our testing, and what the vaccination plans are for the county. So as of today, we have a total confirmed positive cases throughout our county at 1,593. Currently, we have 77 active cases, meaning those are positives that are still going through their isolation period. And we have a total amount of individuals that have been tested across the county at 19,576. And out of those, there were 17,983 that tested negative. Tonight, we currently have 2 that are still hospitalized, 0 in the ICU. Throughout the COVID response, we have had a total of 124 hospitalized for COVID, cumulative. And again, the most unfortunate news is that we have had 13 deaths from COVID in our county. So that kind of shows you where we are as of today. It's been crazy just going from testing to vaccinations, then to stats on COVID. So if you catch me, I kind of get lost in the shuffle after a bit. So now I'm going to go on to vaccinations. So in regards to the vaccinations being done in our county, we have received a total allocation at the county of 6,527. And out of those, we have administered throughout the county 4,666. So that doesn't mean that we're sitting on any. We aren't sitting on any at all because there are many clinics that are signed up through the CalVac system. And what that means is all the vaccines that come into the county come through public health. So we start with them, except for Dignity Health in Mount Shasta. They're what's considered an MCE or a multi-county entity, and they get their vaccinations from Dignity Health. So tribes will do the same thing. Your tribal clinics will, as same as the VA clinic.
Join the meeting.
So out of those, we have several providers that have signed up with CalVax to be able to deliver vaccines in their own clinics. And we have the Mountain Valley Health Clinics, which are up in the eastern part of the county, as well as in the south part of the county too. We have the Swenson Medical Group. Dr. Riegers, I'm pretty sure he was either approved today or he's really close. We have in South County, Dr. Heiger's office and Shasta Cascade, which includes the McLeod and Shasta Valley Health Clinics. And then Dunsmuir is close behind in the process. So what we've done is we've put our efforts into these providers to get them up and running, to know that they have to get into this CalVac system in order to receive any vaccinations from us. So we're definitely moving through that. It's quite the process. They're trying to work out the kinks as we go along. But I think in that part, we're doing pretty good getting those clinics up and running. As a lot of you know, we had our first COVID vaccination drive-through walk-up clinic. At that clinic, we administered 1,146 vaccines. We have our second clinic set for February 12th. And out of those 1,146, they're going to receive their second vaccine at that clinic on the 12th. We did just implement a brand new scheduling system. So if anybody received a vaccine on the 22nd of January at that drive-through clinic, they go to the public health webpage and they go on the scheduler and put their name in for a time. So we launched that scheduler last night at 4 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, there were already over 300 people already signed up. And so only the people that can do the second, that are going to get the second vaccine can sign up for it. So just so you know, if anybody questions, oh, they're going to go on there and sign up, because then we're going to go check with all of them to make sure they're on our list of haven't been vaccinated the first time. And if they're not, we can pop them out and go from there. Yes, it took about 7 hours. We had over 60 volunteers. And I know, I'm sure all of you heard about the traffic issue. So I was really happy to see the snow the next week and all the traffic issue with those big rig trucks parked over there by Rayleigh's, because then I didn't feel so bad about our public health clinic and the traffic. So yeah, we didn't have a clue how the county felt about getting vaccinated. You know, we hear so much negativity that we didn't hear who wants it, who really wants this vaccine, right? So we were just allocated from the state around 975 vials. And even though we gave 1146, each vial can contain anywhere from 5 doses to 7 doses. So that's where that discrepancy in numbers comes from, because they're saying to us, oh, you have 975 vials or 75 doses, and really you can get more doses out of the vials. So that's actually to our advantage. And so what we did with
Join the meeting.
What we did out there at the fairgrounds was, I think it was around 9 o'clock, we realized we hadn't even opened. 10 o'clock was when we opened, right? People were parked out there at 3 and 4 in the morning. But we started counting how many people are out there, how many people are in these cars, right? And once they counted at 1,200, that's when they said, there's no more vaccine at this point. You guys need to leave. And so all those people started going away. So at that point, once we got to the very end, we did have a few more vaccines left over. And it's my goal to not waste one drop of vaccine in this county. So we started calling people that we saw sitting out there in that line and got them in. If they lived close and could come within the next 10 minutes, we got them in. So that's basically how we ended up getting a lot of people in towards the end. I think we had maybe 15 to 20 extra doses at the end. So that was to our advantage to be able to, have those numbers on hand and start calling, because the last thing we want to do is waste any of it. The unique thing about this clinic that, we do a influenza drive-through every year. They've probably done it for the last 20 years in Siskiyou County. I've only been in this position 5 years. It's gone so smoothly, that flu clinic out there at the fairgrounds. Piece of cake, got this down pat, and we're all thinking, yeah, this is great. And all the community is going, oh, they've done this a million times. It should be a piece of cake, except there's more involved with this vaccine. The influenza vaccine, we can draw up the night before and put it in the fridge, haul all 100 of them out there or 500 of them out there. They're all, in their designated little coolers. This one has to be mixed on spot. It has to be shaken a certain way. It can't be shaken. It has to be rotated. And you have to draw it up. So there's some time right there, just in each and every vaccine that's given. Then you have to have an observation time. You don't have that with the flu. So each person has to sit for 15 minutes and be observed for any kind of adverse reaction to the COVID vaccine. So those were some things that we had to work through. We knew about the observation part and putting them over in the floral building. And we had a whole group over there in the floral building that was observing them. We had medical doctors, we had nurses, we had retired nurses. And so that kept rolling through pretty well. But a lot of people didn't realize that was the difference between our regular influenza clinics that we do, the drive-through, and giving us grief about a drive-through for the COVID. So we did do a drive-through for those individuals that were 70 plus, 75 plus, because that's where our tiers were, and whether or not they had mobility issues. And we allowed them to park in the handicap section. And we had a whole crew out there that did exactly what did inside in the armory. We had the nurses out there, we had screeners out there, we had observation people out there. And just in that area alone, we did over 400 just in that area, where the rest of them were all able to park and walk through. So we felt really good about it. We're doing another one on the 12th. We know where we need to make some adjustments, and we're going to definitely make those adjustments. And for the most part, I think we we handled that very well for the craziness and how none of us had ever really done it. There's other clinics also going on as far as the vaccines go. We've connected with Patty Morris from Sister County Office of Education, and she has set up her own vaccination clinics for the educators. So that's really helped out public health a lot as well. So I know she did her first one last week in the old gym up at the Yreka High School, and she vaccinated, I think, 99 individuals. Then she had one Wednesday, if you can believe it, down in Mount Shasta when they got all dumped on snow, and we're thinking we're going to have to, cancel it. She did another 100 there. So that helps out us, taking the heat off of us, that those educators have to get vaccinated, and we recognize that. So we've worked with her on how she can do it, and we provide help and they provide help for us at our clinic. So it's a real nice collaboration. Testing also, don't think that testing is out the door, because remember, that's how come we're in this purple phase. Too many positive tests, too many positive results, and not enough tests. And we still have to, be looking for that. So if we kind of push vaccinations off to the side, now we're going to go back to testing, which we've remained there. We have just connected with a state service called OptumServe. And OptumServe right now is going down to South County, and they are going to be testing at the Armory and at COS. And they'll be testing there mostly for the educators, because again, the educators have it in their policy that they must be tested a certain amount of times in order to be able to stay open. So we have connected with them. That's, one of the things from the state that they have invited for us to partake in. So the first thing that came from the state was the contact tracers. And we received our first contact tracers the end of December, where the rest of the state got them back in March. So we were kind of left out in the cold for the longest time. And that's where all my staff here was taking this on, calling 1,500 people and all their contacts, trying to, guide them to isolate or to remain quarantined, what their timeframes were to go back to work, and doing all that. So the contact tracers that came from the state has helped us a lot, and this OptumServe is going to help a lot too as we move forward with that. As far as where we are moving also in Siskiyou County with those vaccination clinics, we're trying to work with the community center and the hospice program, because we really would like to see the aged individuals, which is our vulnerable population, to be able to be vaccinated. So we're working through that to be able to provide a vaccination clinic up there. We're also working really hard at one in South County. We're probably going to hold it at COS and be able to do another drive-through down there. So again, I have a very small group of individuals here. I am so thankful for all those volunteers. If any of you guys want to volunteer, you just send me an email. Be more than happy to put you on the list and give you a job. It's not just nurses. We have a lot that we have to do. Yeah. And yeah, basically, I think that's it. I think if I look at the numbers, we're just shy of already having vaccinated 10% of our county. Our county is what, 43, 44,000. So we think we're doing really good. The state thinks we're doing excellent, because most counties haven't even gotten close to that. But again, our numbers are low in the county. So if anybody's have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Couple things, Shelley. One, my wife just did their vaccination at the VA clinic. So I think she said that they did, 80 people today. So they did quite a number today too. So she was nice. She had a busy day too. for
I bet.
The little VA clinic, they were cranking them out and doing a good job, and it was really good. She was really happy with that. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of the state, everything that you guys did. I know this was a lot more overwhelming than most people anticipated. And I got to see firsthand because of my shop out on Fairlane Road.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And It was quite interesting. But you know what? It was moving. The lines were moving, and you guys were doing it for what you guys had to deal with. You did an awesome job, I feel.
Thank
There,
you.
there was
Yes.
a lot there. I can't even fathom trying to deal with that amount of numbers.
In
One
that
question.
short amount of time.
Yeah, and that
right?
short amount, exactly, that short amount of time. Yeah, I mean, and all volunteers based and all that stuff. So that was just amazing. It really was. I do have one question. What, I know you're talking about other clinics and stuff. When is it for the first, for like, say, I know of an elderly person that wants to get a vaccination right now. This person doesn't have a primary caregiver right now. What would be their advice for them to get their first vaccination? Because they haven't got a vaccination yet. This person's over 75 and they haven't got their first vaccination yet. So what would be your advice for that?
Number one, to set up with a primary care provider. Anybody
Okay.
at that age should have one anyway.
Yeah, oh, I
If
agree.
they were a patient of Fairchild Medical Center,
Huh?
they will take them. Again,
Okay.
they're basically vaccinating individuals that are their patients. It's kind of like the whole clinic thing, right?
Right.
Mercy Mount Shasta, they're a little bit more loose with that.
Okay.
So for your individual, they may call Mercy Mount Shasta and say, hey, I don't have a primary care provider. I really want to get the vaccine. The county isn't doing another one right away, blah, 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 and see if they'll get him in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
that would be my suggestion.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Much appreciated. Is any member of the council or public ask a question of Shelley Davis right now?
I just
Shelley?
have a. Oh,
Go,
ahead.
Joan. No, you go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Shelley, I just wanted to say thank you to you and your team. You've done an excellent job, and all your volunteers. I know that was a challenging drive-through with over 1,000 people there. And I did hear there were people there at 3:00 in the morning, which is amazing. You know, I guess sleeping in their cars, I don't know, but great job. And I'm
Thank
so proud of you and happy to hear that we've got 10% done already. I already got my shot. My husband and I did. We're waiting for our second vaccination. And I know that there are a lot of people waiting for the second one, but there's also a lot more people waiting for the first one. So thank you for updating us and giving us all this good information, because this is going to be going on for a while. My question to you is, do you have a prediction for when we're going to have, most people vaccinated? Would it be this summer?
I would imagine by the summertime, we would have most people vaccinated. Because remember, there's still a large amount of people out there that don't want to get this one.
Right.
They want to wait to see, it's the first time. They're not sure about people's reactions. They're not sure about vaccinations, for whatever reasons. I understand
Right.
that.
Right.
And when those questions come to me about it being, it happened so quickly, they did this too fast. And I always say to them, you know what, this whole world is way fast. It's way faster than 100 years ago when we had our last pandemic.
True.
So what has kept those viruses and those diseases out of our country is vaccinations.
Right.
That's what's kept it out.
Right.
Smallpox, measles, what's the other one?
Mumps.
Spanish influenza,
Yeah.
right? That's what kept them out.
Yeah.
So I just try to educate them that, yeah, it's quick, but so is technology. And that's why it was quick.
That's true. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. I have an awesome team here. Not that it doesn't get stressful and not that we're like, oh my God, I want to rip our hair out. But I tell you what, I can't say enough about the team I have here at Public Health. We all work together so well, and everybody knows what needs to be done, and they just jump in and do it. We're talking hours and hours of unpaid overtime here. Hours and hours and hours.
Wow. Well, we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Paul had a comment?
Shelley, thank you again for making this presentation to us. When will your next drive-through be for the first vaccine again? And who, not the second vaccine like you're having, and what will the age group be, the age range?
So we're not doing it out there by age range because everybody knows where we are in those tiers, the phase 1A, phase 1B, tiers 1, 2, 3. We're already into tiers 1 and 2. The second group, the second vaccination drive-through clinic is going to be in South County. We just haven't figured out exactly the date. We are working on the next planning of that on next Wednesday, trying to figure out what date it's going to be. Where, like we said, our ideal spot is going to be COS. So it's going to be another one of these, exactly what we just did, the drive-through, walk up, places for the observation, places for the mobility needs. And that would be the next one. After that, we're hoping that we can do more of these individual ones, and we're hoping more providers get on board, right? Because again, I hate to keep saying this, but I do. I have 5 nurses in public health. That's all we have, right? So I depend on all these volunteers to come help us and to get this all going, when really the providers can take a lot of that load. People like Siskiyou County Office of Education can take that load. Our skilled nursing facilities are taking their own loads. Assisted living, Brookdale, they did theirs. CVS
Okay.
Pharmacy and Rite Aid are going to be doing their own vaccines. So there are CVS in South County, but we just received notice from the state yesterday that they're working with Rite Aid. They somehow must have got rid of Walgreens because that's who was in there, was Walgreens.
So currently, I know the other states are doing it with Walgreens, Duane Reade, CVS, all that. Currently, for us up here, it would be Rite Aid and who else?
CVS Pharmacy.
Okay.
Yeah, CVS is in Weed and Mount Shasta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say, so there is no age, I mean, anybody 18 or over can come to the drive-through and go online and sign up for the drive-through, and they can get their vaccine.
No, I can't really say that because there's a whole questionnaire. If somebody lies and gets their way through, they may make it through, but we also screen them once they're there. And we turn quite a few people away because of that.
What are we screening them for then?
Screening them for, do you fall within the tiers? Number one, are you, we're not going to ask each and every one of them, are you an educator? Right? We're not going to ask, do you work at the jail? We're not going to ask all those questions. So that form, they have to fill that out prior to coming. So there were a couple that came through that were like students, right? Well, they don't fall in that field. The students don't. They're not in a tier. So we told them, you have to wait. Unless they said, but we work at a food facility or something like that.
So back again, are you looking for a particular age range?
So the age range is above 65 right now.
Okay. And what is the state of California doing for the counties in order to help us understand better the South African strain that we are hearing from CDC is only 50% responded to AstraZeneca and Moderna?
So the state of California is looking at that. I think the last report I saw, which was the first of the week, I think there were 5 of that strain in California. So they're saying vaccination is going to help. Bottom line, become vaccinated because it's going to help. Is it going to be perfect? They don't know yet. Not enough evidence behind it to figure that out.
Okay, and then I know the CDC is encouraging people, if you've had COVID, do not take the unless you're very, very high risk, do not take the vaccine yet. Leave it for other people who have not had COVID. Is that something that the public health is also recommending?
So the CDPH, California Department of Public Health, and the CDC says they do not recommend that a person that has COVID become vaccinated until 90 days after their COVID exposure. That's what it says. It doesn't say you can't. The people that can't have the vaccine, if they were COVID positive, were those persons that received immunosuppressive therapy while they were hospitalized, whether it's remdesivir or is it Bimlavac, something like that, because the vaccine is not going to do them any good, right? You're on an immunosuppressive therapy. What's the point of getting that? So they're the ones they recommend they wait 90 days.
And
after
that, does that
therapy.
also include, does that include hydroxychloroquine? Is that
So
an immunosuppressive?
hydroxychloroquine is also in there, but they don't actually spell that one out to us.
Okay.
Yes,
And
and so
then-
the other two.
What are your thoughts based on what California Department of Public Health is telling you? What percentage of statewide, I know because we can't say just for our county, what percentage of statewide people are going to choose not to take the vaccine currently?
They
Are
haven't
they
said.
saying?
They have not said.
Okay. Thanks, Shelley, for everything. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is a public comment. Looks like it's from Lorenzo Love and Don Marie Autry.
Hello?
Oh, we can hear you. Go ahead, Don Marie.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Shelley, I'm wondering, the clinics that are in Aetna, the clinic that is in Aetna, the Fairchild Clinic, my mother lives over there and she doesn't have a way to come over here to get the shot, but she can go to that clinic in her scooter. But she was told from that clinic that they do not have any shots to give her. And, you know, she's 85 years old and falls in this, I need that shot immediately. So can you please tell me when they're going to get shots over there?
I was not aware that they didn't have them because they're part of Fairchild. I can actually reach out and find out about that though.
Thank you very much.
So it's the Fairchild Medical Clinic in Aetna, correct?
Yes. And I know of 5 people over there that don't have a way to even get to that clinic. And that clinic doesn't have a bus, you know, a van to go get someone. And so how are homebound people going to get this shot, this vaccine?
Well, I would imagine that family members would be taking them. We had carloads of people that came to the clinic, right?
Yeah,
And
I
they
know.
weren't-
I
They weren't all
saw
family
that.
members. So if you're asking about transportation, at this point, there's no way public health could even provide transportation for that. That would be, as far as transportation goes, that's actually under human services and you might be able to reach out to them, but I'm not really sure that that's part of their purview either.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be anyone's purview. That's my point. And some of these people do not have family members at all. And I can't drive over there and take them. I would, but I can't. So I was trying to figure out if public health could somehow get with Fairchild and figure this out.
Well, I will sure look into it. That's the best I can do. We work very closely with Fairchild ever since the pandemic started. They were awesome in doing testing. They have been awesome in doing vaccinations. We have to also recognize with Fairchild that they're a hospital and they can't put all their staff out there doing vaccinations for hundreds and hundreds of people. So they're asking more help from the communities. Get those providers up and running so that they will take on part of this, you know, load that is placed on the hospitals and on public health.
So Shelley,
Yeah.
I got a question have we thought about, this brings up a good subject, is there some way that we could team up with the stage and rig up some type of transportation that way? Is that a possibility?
Maybe that is a possibility. If they could do it maybe for one of the next clinics, or even if it was the clinic that we decide to do up at the community center, we could probably look into that. I can put that on the list.
Okay, great.
If I can get the dates, I'm the chair of the local transportation commission.
I was hoping.
The dates. I know that the stage has been offering free rides during COVID. We're
Oh,
not
wow.
charging. So
Wow.
if we need some kind of a special dedicated bus, I would need to know the locations and the dates, and then I can work with them. I don't know, if they have it available, but we can check on it.
That'd
Shelley,
be
I
great.
can check. I can check with Shelley on the dates and places.
Yeah, that would be great. Like I said, we're still working on that one up at the community center, so we don't have a date for it yet.
Okay.
You also need to make sure that the stage will allow these elderly people to get on the stage with their scooter. My mother was denied twice and on her wheelchair also. So not every single stage is going to be friendly to handicapped people.
Oh, correct. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep all of that in mind, definitely.
Shelley, I got one more question. Sorry to keep bothering you.
No.
Now you said you are teamed up with the Croup Tribal also?
So not in regards to vaccinations. They get their own vaccinations from the tribal community.
Oh, okay, great.
It's what, like I said, they call an MCE, multi-county entity, meaning the tribe gives them their vaccines. In Mercy Mount Shasta, it's Dignity Health that they get their vaccines from.
Okay.
We
Gotcha.
still collect those numbers, right? And the same with the 80 from the VA, those numbers we have to bring in because people ask across the county, how many vaccines have been done in the county, right? And they also have to put that information into the same reporting system we all use, right?
Gotcha.
So the thing about that vaccine too is it has to be entered within 24 hours. That was another thing. How do you enter, here we're all dying at 6:30 at night. And how do you enter 1,200 individuals into this system?
Wow.
Right? So there's just so much involved with it, but
Boy, I guess.
you do it. You just do it.
Well, thank you so much. Oops, sorry.
This is
Go ahead.
Councilman McCoy. May I address Don Marie? Don Marie, all the stage buses are wheelchair accessible. So they're all ADA accessible. So I'm going to give you a phone number to call so you can talk to them about this. You want to call Jason Ledbetter, who is director of the stage. And his number is 842-8220. That's 842-8220. And I would call and discuss the fact that you were denied and hopefully give them the number of the bus or the name of the driver.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there anybody else that have any more comments? Any councilman or public? Okay. Well,
Just
thanks.
a big thank you, Shelley, for all the good information.
Absolutely. Anytime you guys want to hear from me, just let me know.
You're awesome. Thank you. And I'm sure
Thanks.
everybody that's been involved in this, like I said, I can't even imagine this endeavor. It's beyond me. I'm like, wow, that is just truly amazing. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. All righty. Now we're on to number 3. Discussion possible action approval of the appointment of Robert P. Goinage and Lawrence R. Morris to the Yreka Volunteer Fire Department. I think we have Chief Lemos on this Zoom.
Yes, he is. Jerry.
Mr. Lemos.
Yes. Hello. How are you this evening?
Hello there.
Great.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Great. Well, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I want to thank you for letting us get this on the agenda so quickly and get some more membership so we can take care of business. Tonight we have Mr. Robert Goinich, who is a long-term member of the fire department who probably had 20 to 25 years in the fire service, had time with CAL FIRE and was actually all the way up to assistant chief within Yreka Fire. And his job change required more of his time away from home. So he took probably a year off or more. So he's ready to come back, and we're really excited to have him back. He's a proven leader and great firefighter, great fire mind, if you will. So he'll be a great addition. And some of you do know Robert from, I know Mr. Mayor, you know him, and some of you other council members know him as well. And we're lucky to have him back. So
Yes, we
not that
are.
often that happens.
He is
So,
a huge
in
valuable,
addition,
that's for
yes,
sure.
go ahead. Yes,
He's-
he is. So you'll be seeing him from time to time, and somebody I will depend on for a lot of things, and he already knows that. So in addition, we have Mr. Lawrence or Rob Morris, and Rob comes to us kind of as a surprise. He was referred by George Jennings from the Yreka Fire Safe Council, and they happened to meet, so he referred him, and I got to meet Robert and talk about what he wanted to get out of the department. And I can tell you, he is very dedicated. He can't wait to get approved and sworn in so he can go out and start responding and help us out. So definitely recommend their approval, and hopefully this will definitely be a good addition for our staff.
Oh, absolutely. It's so great to get 2 more people on board that are going to make a huge difference for our community. And that's such a blessing for all of us to know that we have qualified guys jumping in there and willing to do the job and do that. We're truly blessed to have them on board. Thank you so much for getting them on board too, Chief.
Oh, you bet. No, and actually Robert Morris actually does have prior experience with City of Gridley. He had 2 or 3 years there. So, it's not like we're having to start, he's familiar with the process and, the fire service in general. So that'll be another asset, another thing we don't have to, spend all of our time doing the basics with him. So yeah, I'm very excited to have him on board.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else you want to add, Chief?
No, I think that's pretty much, I said what I wanted to say about these 2 gentlemen. So I'll let you guys take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you
Mr.
so
Mayor?
much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
All
I
right.
would like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Robert Goyinch and Lawrence Robert Morris to the Yreka Volunteer Fire Department and welcome them aboard.
Awesome. Do we have a second?
Mr. Mayor, this is Paul McCoy. I'd like to second that motion. And I don't know Robert. I don't know Robert Goynich, but I know Colton Goynich's dad. That's, Colton always told me he was his dad. So.
Oh yeah, that's correct. That's Colton is his.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have a motion by Joan Smith Freeman and a second by Paul McCoy. Mr. Baker, would you do roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mayor Pro Tem Baird,
Aye.
City Council Member Freeman,
Aye.
City Council Member McCoy,
Aye.
City Council Member Middleton,
Aye.
Mayor Keg.
Aye, definitely. Sweet. Great.
Welcome.
Thank you. Bringing them on board. Hallelujah. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that. And when it's appropriate, I will bring them by so that you can, put a face with a name and say hello. And yeah, it'll be a good thing. Trust me. I feel confident in these 2 gentlemen's abilities. So
I do too. You did good. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You're welcome.
All righty. We'll move on to number 4. Excuse me. Discussion, recommendation, and possible action, adoption, second reading of the ordinance for an amendment to the contract between the City of Yreka and the Board of Administration of California and Public Employees Retirement System. Is this Retta or who's this one?
Hi, yes. Bringing back to you for the second reading, the ordinance to modify the contract with California Public Employees Retirement System, which we all know as CalPERS. And this is to amend the contract to include the safety fire plan for the City of Yreka for the retirement formula of 2.7% at 55. And as you recall, when this was introduced, we were fortunate to have Mr. Nate Jensen's from CalPERS, actuary from CalPERS, present the report. And this is a second reading for adoption.
Great. Thank you. Is there anybody, any councilman that has any questions on that? No. Is there any member of the public that has any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I see no public comment at this time.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Arthur. All righty, well then I would recommend somebody having a motion then towards this, please. Member of the council?
Hi, this is Councilmember Baird. I'd like to make a motion to accept as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All righty. We have a motion by Debbie Barrett and a second by Joan Smith Freeman. Steve Baker, would you please do roll call again?
Mayor Pro Tem Baird,
Aye.
City Councilmember Freeman,
Aye.
City Councilmember McCoy,
Aye.
City Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Mayor Keg.
Aye. All righty. Second readings is done. Thank you. Thank you so much, Retta, for all your work on that. Awesome. Well, so now we're on to number 5. Discuss some possible action, conduct a public meeting for the purpose of the hearing of community comments regarding community development block grant, coronavirus response round 2 and 3, CDBG/CV2/3 funding applications. Do you want to start this off, Mr. Baker?
I'm actually going to let Retta Hogan and Cindy tag team it. Unless they tell me I'm not.
Thank you. And I think Cindy, are you on the line? Are you? So what we're.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we get Cindy to
right.
come on camera, Steve, Mr. Baker?
I don't have a camera. I'm terribly sorry, Councilmember McCoy.
It's okay. Go ahead, Retta, and continue.
So there's additional funding coming down relating to the coronavirus community block development programs to assist the community. And as you recall, or may not recall, there was round 1 of funding for 85. No, Cindy's going to correct me on that. I believe right around
$85,417.
I knew she'd do the exact number.
Good job.
I was going to say 85,000 for the for helping businesses during the pandemic. And what we did is we kind of aggregated our funding with other cities and the counties, and the Siskiyou Economic Development really spearheaded a great program to get funds aggregated and out to the community. However, at the time, the California CDBG program really wasn't prepared to roll everything out very timely, but I do, and I think we've got some representatives from the EDC that can chime in better on this, but I think round 1 of funding, as I last heard, funds were delivered, and they're now getting the dollars out the door on that. And the city of Dunsmuir and the EDC are the lead, Dunsmuir being the recipient of these aggregated dollars. And for that, and now we're looking at round 2 and 3 of funding. And again, for the same purposes of either helping small business in micro grants or business loans and grants, as well as helping other options such as assisting food banks and or subsistence assistance, which helps families with utilities such as power bills, water bills, internet, and things like that for that. So this public meeting is really to get input from the community and direction on what's the best way to use these dollars. And there's news coming out daily, if not weekly, on kind of flexibility within the program. And I'm going to turn that over to Cindy because she has been attending some of these weekly meetings, and then we'll probably open it to our guests. I think we've got folks from the EDC here as well.
All right. Thank you, Rita. As I said in the staff report, the city is expected to get approximately $300,000 in CDBG CV2 and 3 funding. And there has been guidance as early as yesterday changing a couple of things. For example, the number of activities total for all the CV funding is now 4 activities instead of the original 3. So we could probably add 3 more activities if we wanted to. Also, there is a lot of, and CDBG is really encouraging cities to band together and use nonprofits to help get the funding out there and to help the citizens. There's also, Mr. Baker, I don't know if you wanted to read what needs to be read regarding the purpose of the virtual public meeting, or if you want me to do it. But it's a requirement for the CDBG meetings that this be read in the public meeting.
I will go ahead and get to that page then.
It's just the second page after the staff report.
My apologies, I wasn't, and it's not wanting to come out.
Cindy, I have it up, Steve, if you need.
I think I'm one page away, but I'm very, very slow right now.
Do you
Are
want
you
me
talking
to?
about the notice?
I have it up. If you want me to read it, I can do that.
Is this the notice is hereby given, or is it the page before that?
The purpose of the public meeting, unless you wanted to read the whole notice is hereby given.
Oh, no, I think I'll avoid that. I think I've done a good enough job of slowing things down as it is. The purpose of this virtual public meeting is to give the public an opportunity to make their comments known regarding what types of eligible activities the city of Yreka should apply for under the state-administered CDBG CV2-3 program. Eligible activities under the CDBG CV2-3 program include public services to respond to the COVID-19 impacts, public facility improvements to increase capacity for healthcare facilities and improve public facility safety, housing facilities for persons experiencing homelessness, including acquisition and rehabilitation, and economic development to support the needs of local businesses and bring back jobs impacted by COVID-19. Eligible programs under the CDBG program must meet one of the 3 national objectives listed in federal statutes. 1 is benefit to low, moderate income households or persons. 2 is elimination of slums and blight. 3 is meeting urgent community development need, and that's with prior departmental approval. The city of Yreka anticipates submitting an application under the CDBG CV2-3 NOFA published on December 9th, 2020.
And Mr. Mayor, I believe it's up to you to open it up to public comments.
Absolutely. So this is a time for public comments on this. Do we have any public comments out there? I'll open it up for the public comments at this time.
See a yellow hand.
Is it okay if I just unmute and jump in then? Apologies.
Hey, Alex, long time no see.
I know. Well, thank you all for having this council meeting tonight, and thank you for the warm welcome. And really, I really need to start off by saying our team is so grateful to your city staff for really being a good sidebar for us and working with us and developing the few activities that we'd like the council to consider for the CDBG funds coming in. So as Red and Cindy mentioned, you know, we have this program currently with all the other jurisdictions for microenterprise assistance. So the funding, the $85,000 currently allotted, will allow for what we assume probably 2 or 3 businesses if they go for the max of 20,000 in grant funding for direct capital. So it'll assist and serve about 2 to 3 businesses. So what we're asking for, as Retta mentioned, is an increase of some amount of the funding. Of course, 300,000 might be a little too much. There's other needs in the community. But we're hoping that some of the funding will at least be considered to add into this micro enterprise program we currently have. It'll serve a few more businesses, hopefully allow some more direct capital going into our community and our employers and our workforce. And then hopefully it'll also extend the deadline out to another year. So we'll have another year of the funding. So, you know, if more businesses come in and need more assistance, maybe outside of the scope of these new state funds that are coming down, in 2 years, if they need funding, we will have this funding available for our businesses. So then our second and kind of like third activities, we are actually partnering with our sister agency, Great Northern Services, in hopes of providing the next 2 activities, which are food banks and subsistence payments, as Retta mentioned. So Great Northern actually has all these networks established. They have done CDBG throughout the county with service providers, including Pac Power and a lot of the utility companies, as mentioned. And so they already have a really great built-in network to also work with the local food banks and the local resource centers. So we're kind of relying and just building in capacity for those networks. And EDC would actually be doing the administration of the grant, working alongside the city to make sure the funds are tracked and record keeping, because we'll also be doing it for our micro enterprise program. So it just kind of makes sense, you know, to stack it up, and it's, you know, it's just an economy of scale to service our whole county and all of the communities and all the residents who need assistance. You know, we'll be a centralized hub in that sense. So those are the 2 and 3 activities. And then our fourth hope, which, as Retta mentioned, there's a lot of changing things back and forth at HCD, and we're kind of initially exploring it, is kind of this maybe an MOU, so same scale, countywide scale, of maybe looking at doing some infrastructure improvements. All of our communities across Siskiyou have decades old infrastructure, whether that's sewer, water, stormwater, or broadband. You know, these are really needed services that are getting hit a little bit harder in certain areas, especially residential areas, are people, you know, concentrated out there. And our employers are, you know, we're all teleworking, obviously, so broadband is essential, and our kids need it. I mean, we need youth. I mean, their education is all completely online or some weird function of that, you know. We have a rural community. There's a lot of people in kind of the outskirts that aren't being serviced. So it's very initial, but we'd like to throw it out there in the public comments as an activity for the city to consider. Maybe it's some sort of planning. We can do some sort of broadband planning across the county to help service our areas that are in need. And so these are kind of like the 4 major activities that we would like council to consider. We believe these are long-term investments in our community, you know, whether it's the business community, the employees, and the kids of Siskiyou. So thank you for entertaining these comments. And if you have questions, Quentin is on here too. He's a lot more in the weeds on CDBG. I'm just here kind of helping. So I'm really a facade, but Quentin's our guru, so he's on here too. And any questions you have, we're happy to help. I mean, we've been in this now for a year. You guys have been hearing us talk about CDBG. So really, whatever we can do to help. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Alex. Is there anybody, council members, does anybody have any questions?
Did Quentin have anything to add, or? No.
I think Alex
Debbie
did
has a question.
a pretty comprehensive job, but I'm available for any follow-up, any more in detail questions that you guys might have.
Okay.
Great. Debbie, you have a question?
I please. I see on the written notes here that there are 4 bullet points of options. Are all of them going to have a benefit from this, or are you focusing on just the business end of it?
So we don't necessarily have a dog in the fight of which jurisdictions choose which projects are their priority. We're looking at so like with the subsistence payments in the food banks, where we'd be partnering with Great Northern Services, we would just be administering the grants, doing the reporting, the financial tracking, and things like that. The GNS would actually be the service providers, the ones who would provide the vouchers, have the applications, the income qualifications, all of that. So, and these numbers can be flexible. They don't have to be locked in. So one of the nice things about this is you can set up your resolutions with not to exceed amounts for the full project budgets. So as you get these programs up and running and you say, hey, you know, we got micro going and we got food banks going, but people actually really need more money for their power bills or for their water bills. Well, then we can amend those contracts with HCD and we can move monies from one budget to the other. If they're all centralized and we're processing all of the reports and all the amendments, it sort of streamlines the process. So that way the dollars can go based on where the actual need is, and that can be adjusted.
Thank you.
Well, I know that through the Great Northern, they've done in the past have done, you know, amazing things to help out to help individuals out that are struggling. You know, I've talked to a number of different individuals on how they've helped them out. So with you guys partnering up with them, as if I gather this, if I'm understanding this right, you guys would be partnering up with them, and one of the different levels is what you're talking about, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So yeah, mostly the food banks and subsistence, that stuff, they already have those networks. We're just helping them funnel the money the right way, making sure it's spent correctly. You know, we're all hitting a little bit of a capacity issue. You know, we're both very small organizations. I mean,
Right.
big for Siskiyou, but you know, we're all trying to like work together to make sure we can deliver the services and use the funding appropriately. So yeah, the partnerships well.
Right.
Great. Awesome. Well,
Miss-
that,
oh,
go ahead,
Paul.
Joan.
Oh, I think Paul had his hand up.
Oh, Paul, go ahead.
Mr. Baker, this is Councilman McCoy. Can you read again at the end of that, what you were reading, the end of that statement, the three areas in which the three qualifications which this money can be spent?
Actually, I think there's 4, wasn't there?
Actually, are you talking about the eligible activities, or are you talking
Yes.
about the, there's two paragraphs about that talk about that. One is the broad CDBG program, which has to meet benefit to low moderate income households, eliminations of slums and blight, or an urgent community development need. And then within the CDBG CV 23 program, there are you can have public facility improvements and increase capacity for healthcare facilities and improve public facility safety, housing facilities for persons experiencing homelessness, including acquisition and rehabilitation, economic development to support needs of local businesses and bring back jobs impacted by COVID-19.
Okay, and are we being asked to vote tonight on to allocate it for anything?
No, we are not. This is simply so that this is a public meeting.
Okay.
And this is so that we can start hearing ideas from the community about ways that these funds may be spent, and to talk about what the needs are in the community that might fit into this funding source. Originally, we thought we would be coming back to you at the next meeting in order to tie down those amounts and the activities. However, I just learned tonight that the due date for this application, for this allocation is now, all I heard was in May.
In May.
Okay.
Okay. So we
Okay.
have a little bit of time to talk about it.
Yeah, I'd like to add, I just kind of open it up. And I think homelessness is an issue in our community, and this is not a lot of money, $85,000. I mean, especially if you're doing the micro business and you help 3 of them, you got 25,000 left over.
So,
but I would like to also throw in the ring that perhaps some of it could be used to help alleviate some homelessness, or to help to relocate people in that way. So, but anyway, I'll just throw that out, and then I'm gonna mute.
Sure, we will throw that into the mix, and I want to make sure that even though the first number we talked about was 85,000, that was in COVID-1, and this is in COVID 2-3. It was closer to 300,000.
300,000, yeah. And I'd like to make a comment on that too. I would really like to see if there's any way we could use some of that on the homelessness too, because I think it could be a valuable asset for the community to be able to use some of that for our community. Means we are experiencing a number of homelessness, and through the COVID and through the fires and all this other things, we're going to be experiencing more and more homelessness in our area. So I think it's something to definitely to think about and maybe address that. So this is also, like I said, we've opened it up to the public. So is there any member of the public that would like to make a comment on this?
Mr. Mayor, I see no public comment at this time.
Okay, so then I guess at this time, we would like to close the public comment of this section and open it back up to more discussion on city councilmen. If there's any other comments or whatnot that I'd like to hear from the councilman, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'm pleased to see these 4 areas that we can help our community. And I certainly agree that homelessness is one portion of that.
Correct.
And that we should. However, I don't think we should devote 100% of it. Part of it here, it says economic development to support the needs of local businesses and bring back jobs impacted by COVID-19. We all know businesses that are suffering now. We want to make sure that we help our businesses keep their doors open. And I thank the Economic Development Council and on this and bringing this to us, because I think that's vital. I agree on the homelessness issue, but I also want to make sure that we help out our local businesses as well.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with you that we need to be able to address our businesses around here locally, because a lot of the restaurants, a lot of the hair salons, and some of a lot of other businesses, period, are struggling, and we need to out and figure out ways to help them. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's a good idea, Mrs. Smith Freeman. When does the money become available? That's going to be the deal. They need it now. Businesses need it now. They don't need it in 3 or 4 months.
That's
Steve
true.
Mr. Baker and I drove by a restaurant that I've eaten at for the last 15, 20 years in Medford that is closed.
There's a lot of closed businesses.
So when is this money freed up?
It's at the speed of government.
So the question on when this money will be available is unfortunately a pretty good one, because the state on the first round of money, I don't know, I heard tonight, maybe they've actually signed an agreement. Is that true, Quentin?
An agreement hasn't been signed, but it has been routed through to contracting to develop an agreement.
Okay, so we're still in that. Hopefully they will get faster on the second and third rounds. But you know.
And what, June, July, August, September, October?
Councilmember, I would say at this point, making any kind of prediction would defy what Councilmember Freeman said about the speed of government. The speed of state government is how I'd like to qualify that. So,
well, it comes from the feds, from federal government down to the state government, then on down to us. I think that's what's causing the holdup. It comes from the feds, that takes a while. Then it gets to the state, and that's a holdup for a while. And then we finally get it, and then we get it to the ground just as quickly as we can.
That's
right.
It's going to summer.
We get it out there.
So basically, we're held hostage at this point until.
Correct. I know that the EDC, as well as Great Northern and other people involved in the project, would like to get this on the ground as soon as possible.
Right.
There's some impediments at the state level that are kind of wild, but we're going to do the best we can to get out the door.
And I will agree with you, Mr. Baker. If you want something screwed up, let the state or the federal government do it, because they'll be the ones that will screw it up. Not local, but.
I was just going to comment. I think the brilliance of this program, however, of some of the things is that these, as mentioned, Great Northern, as well as the EDC, are already players in knowing it. Once they get the dollar, they have experienced in delivery of the of the services and money.
Right,
and funds.
right. And a huge thank you to the EDC for getting the money to the ground as quickly as you can. We do appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Is this something we can bring forward to work on like a future workshop? Because it's probably something we all need to have a lengthy discussion about, because I think we all, want to see the monies go to several good places here in our town. So I think we should probably have a great lengthy discussion between the council on going forward on the options of what, we should do.
Right, but I don't think that we get the choice of which businesses get the money, do we? I mean, that's an application.
No, I mean, what
application.
the four things, yeah.
Right.
So, Councilmember, what I would think would be appropriate, it may turn out to be at a workshop, it may turn out to be at a regular meeting with the time schedule on this program, as well as the things that we're learning about how the funds can be used. It may come up either way, but I won't promise that it'll definitely come to a workshop as much as that you will see it again, and you will see it again before the last day that, to send it in. I mean, we're going to come back and talk about this. We're going to talk about some of the proposals because,
Okay.
So anyway, we'll continue to get further information so that we can help divide this up. I think that the application
Okay.
itself isn't that hard, so.
All right,
So,
perfect.
Mr. Baker, I think at this point, are we, this is a possible action here are we making this an action item then to move forward with this? Is that what we need to have from the council?
I think it.
This is merely a public meeting, Mr. Mayor. You can
Okay.
close the meeting and if you choose.
It's on the agenda, possible action, so that's why I'm saying that.
Sure. I think that we have an understanding that this needs to come back with some options, but
Yes.
it does not require specific action at this point. And in fact, since we just heard on the public, this is a public meeting to get the ideas out there, and I think it'd probably be more appropriate just to, you've already closed the meeting, you've heard some ideas, and we will be bringing it back in association with the nonprofit partners.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. All righty then, I guess we'll move on to number 6 then. It's one that we've heard, I think, maybe once. Discuss some possible action, continuation of urgency ordinance number 855. Is there any public comment on this or would like to discuss this? And Mr. Baker, would you like to discuss this one more time?
Sure. I wanted to thank Shelley Davis for talking to us about what's really going on.
Exactly.
Obviously, the pandemic continues. We would recommend that you continue to keep this ordinance in place.
Absolutely. Is there any member of the audience that would like to ask any questions on this?
Jessica Baker.
Okay. If there's no public comments on this, then I'd like to entertain a motion on this, please.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilman McCoy. I'll make the motion that we continue with ordinances at 8:55.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second.
Councilman Middleton, I'll second.
Oh, go ahead, Corey. Yeah.
Oh, Councilman Middleton, I'll second.
All righty. We have a motion by Paul McCoy and a second by Corey Middleton. Mr. Baker, would you do roll call, please?
Certainly. Mayor Pro Tem Baird,
Aye.
City Council Member Freeman,
Aye.
City Council Member McCoy,
Aye.
City Council Member Middleton,
Aye.
Mayor Keg.
And aye. All righty. It is passed again. All righty. Well, now we're at the city manager and staff reports. Do we have anything on that, Mr. Manager, Steve Baker?
I just wanted to mention that the start time to next week's workshop is at 6 p.m. We gave you a different time earlier, but it is at 6 p.m. That's passed. I guess at one point, the fire chief had a report that he was going to give. Is that still relevant, Chief?
Yes, Mr. Baker, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just real
Yes.
quick, I received a call yesterday from Golden State Fire Apparatus, John Bauer, our representative, and the apparatus that you guys approved last meeting is moving forward rather quickly. So it's going to move up into assembly here shortly with the tank and all the piping and all the appurtenances that we requested to be put on the apparatus. So yeah, we're happy to report that things are moving forward, and sometime early to mid-June, we should have the apparatus delivered to Yreka City.
Right on.
Great.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
thank you for the approval. We're looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you for moving forward. Sweet.
At this time,
Great
I
news.
don't think we have any other reports, but that was as of Tuesday. I'm going to check just briefly. Are any other department heads, any reports that you wanted to give today? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor.
All righty.
My work here is done. So
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to councilman's reports. I'll start off with, how about start off with Joan Smith Freeman?
I'll just keep it brief. So last week we had a women in business meeting. It was a Zoom online meeting, and we had about, we had about 20 some odd local businesswomen. I'm sorry that Shelley is no longer on the line. She is the president this year of Siskiyou Women in Business. Used to be the Yreka Women in Business, and they've expanded. So now it's Siskiyou Women in Business, and our members come from all over the county, and they're doing good work everywhere. As I mentioned earlier, I have a local transportation commission meeting on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, and I will bring forward, our concerns about getting people on the stage buses to get their vaccines. And I'll work with Shelley on that to get the dates and places if she knows them, and get that hooked into the local transportation commission. But other than that, today I was on an economic development roundtable with the League of California Cities, now going as Cal Cities, which was really interesting. And I did find out that we have the ability now for 1% to gather 1% of all the money that's spent online for anything that comes back to us as a destination. Before it was if you had a business that sold, you got a percentage of that. So this is, it's only 1%, but we're in a deficit because of COVID-19. So this, every little bit helps. I mentioned it to Retta today, and she's looking into it, Retta and Steve. I got that out of, I feel like, that I got something good, and I got to listen to people all over the state talk about what they're doing, how they're supporting their businesses. Some of them are TOT dependent. More of them are tax-based dependent. And some of them have partnerships with their counties for funding. And, the counties are hurting as well as the cities. So just trying to keep up. And the best way to attend those meetings seems to be on Zoom. And I know everybody gets tired of Zoom, but it's almost like a miracle. Instead of being totally shut down because of COVID-19, we have the ability to be in these meetings with people from all over the state. So anyway, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Much appreciated. You're always so busy. Thank you.
I try.
All righty, we will go to Councilman Middleton. Do you have a report?
I don't have a report, but I received an email from the executive person at the Siskiyou Association of Realtors today, and she emailed me this. She said, "Hi, Corey. I was wondering what is needed in the North County that Siskiyou Association of Realtors could help with. Currently, we are considering donated bike racks for, and I think it's businesses, for South County, but I wanted to make sure we included North County as well. Do you know of a cause that we could help with?" So I emailed her back and said I'd bring it to all of us, and we could maybe put our heads together that the Siskiyou Association of Realtors can donate to North County, because they're going to be doing bike racks, it looks like, in probably Mount Shasta, Dunsmere, but she wanted to include us. So I thought that was great that she reached out to me. So I think that's it. But if we can all think about what's needed in our community that they can donate, that would be great.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And so this basically would be to bring bike racks to some place, public place in possibly Yreka or someplace in northern county.
If that's what we think North County or Yreka needs, or some, you know, she said South County, so I'm assuming that's Shasta, Weed, or Dunsmere that they cover. But she was reaching out to me for our city of Yreka and asking what would be a need that they could donate, because we raise funds and donate, and we donate to causes. And so she reached out to me asking, wanted to include North County, and asked what we thought could be something that is needed that they could donate.
Oh, great. Wow. So definitely something for discussion for sure.
Yeah.
When are they talking about doing this?
I don't know. I could get back to her and ask her. That came late today, so
okay.
I told her I was having a meeting today, and I'd bring it up and see if anybody had some ideas of what is maybe needed that the city can't provide because if we'd have lack of funds with, or whatever.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I do know that we've been looking at the arch at Minor Street Park, and trying to think of the foundation. They just changed their name.
Society.
The what? No, not the Red Scarf Society, but it is some of the same people. No, the community fund that
North State, but I could be wrong.
North State Foundation. Anyway, I know that they do need some matching funds for that. And you all remember the big, beautiful rock arch that's been the welcome to Minor Street Park for 100 years now, I think. Paul, you were there at the park with me when Joan Favreau talked to us. 200 years? You're muted, Paul. I can't hear you. There you go.
There you are.
Nope. Now you're...
It'll be 100 years in 1921. So, right. and I'm on that committee, and we are going to be looking for funding. We're not sure exactly what we're going to need at this point in time. We need to see what we have left, but that would be a good thing. Another one for me, Corey, would be more concrete picnic tables out at Greenhorn Park, where the city is putting some in now, but more concrete tables.
Yreka Rotary is putting some in too.
Yes.
So that'd be a good thing to get them all done. But yeah, both of those are good, are very good projects.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, good ideas.
Yeah. So Corey, could you find out some more details on the time frame and stuff like that, and then bring it back to the council?
Yep, I will do so.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's awesome.
How's your classes coming? How's your classes coming along?
Well, I think I go back next week. They're okay. They're boring because it's all online and it's really slow. And I nodded off a couple of times. So I was like, yeah, it's probably better in person. The energy and everything and being around people and learning, it was probably better. Online is very, very slow. Postcards they're showing, and yeah, it's all right. I learned a couple of things, I think.
No thanks. Oh man, doesn't sound like fun. All righty then. Mr. McCoy, would you have something you want to share with us?
I have two things. I'll try and keep it quick. I want to thank Mr. Steve Baker, the city manager, for traveling with me today to view a homeless encampment and a homeless transition center, road retreat, where there are 65 guests currently living, was the homeless encampment. And the homeless retreat was, I believe it's called Hope House.
Yes.
I think, Steve, shake your head. Was it that, or was it? Anyway.
Very close to that, if that's not it.
Okay. And I want to thank Steve for going up. It really opened my eyes to how we need to look at getting all entities. That one of the things that they stress to us is that it's not just a city, it's not just a police, it's not just a behavioral health. they have about 13 or 14 entities that work together in order to help these people. So I want to, and I look forward to having that discussion later on in one of our meetings. I want to give a thank Heidi Berlew, who made me feel welcome at Dollar General. I went over to say hello to her, congratulate her on their grand opening. They have 13 total employees. That says something. That's 13 jobs we didn't have just 90 days ago. So I do want to congratulate Heidi for the job she's doing. She actually is from here and has finally come back as the manager. And I want to encourage people to drop by and say hello and, go in and take a look at what they have. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate you and Mr. Baker going up there and checking out the urban camping development that they do and their transitional housing that they're doing up there, and bringing it back to our area, because it's something that is going to be a great value to our area, because this is the people, the public needs to know that's one of the things that we've been looking at, and is a urban campsite, and so we can help out the people in those predicaments and get them into a safe environment and get them, like you were saying, Paul, get them the proper resources to help them in their battles that they're going through. We're doing this through the Homelessness Coalition, basically, but it's hard getting those resources to them, versus if we can get a place for them, the Beacon of Hope or an urban campsite, then maybe we can get these resources to them, and we can help them get out of their predicament they may be in, or just get them help that they need to go to the next level in life, period. Just get them the help that they need, period. So thank you so much for doing that. Awesome. All righty. Mayor Pro Tem Debbie Baird, do you have something?
Just a couple of notes. The Collier board meeting did not meet. It was last week during our little blizzard. And I received a notice yesterday from LAFCO that they are not having a meeting next month either. So it's been a year now since we've met. I'm going to have to learn everything all over again. But other than that, nothing else. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, then I'll keep mine short and sweet. Also, I just want to right now thank our police department and everybody locally, our city workers and stuff too, with all these snowstorms that we've had to endure this last week. It's been a level of chaos that we didn't predict, especially last week with all the truckers getting trapped here. And it's an unfortunate thing that Oregon and further down south, California, can't communicate better with us and be able to regulate the amount of vehicles and trucks that are coming into our city. It does help our economy, so don't get me wrong. That was great. The motels did get their share of the services, and so did our restaurants. I was looking at the north end of town, and the truck stop up there, they were bombarded, which is a good thing. They're selling fuel, they're selling groceries, they're selling food and whatnot. So that was great, but unfortunately we got bombarded a little too much, and it was a little overwhelming, unfortunately, for our citizens and for our law enforcement. They had their battles. I feel sorry for our law enforcement, but they did an awesome job for what they had to work with. There was a lot of variables that they had to deal with on that. So I just want to applaud our law enforcement and our city workers that had to deal with all of that. Secondly, I'm just going to talk about a little bit about the homelessness. We are having frequent meetings, so the public knows that we are addressing a lot of these situations. And here in this near future, especially early summer, we're going to see some positive changes that the city is going to be helping out on, as far as, like, we're talking an urban campsite and possibly some other avenues that we're exploring. So this will help with the homelessness, and and any of those situations we have to deal with. Unfortunately, the funding is one of the biggest obstacles that we deal with, and we're looking into some funding. So anytime we hear, like we did tonight with the CDBG and some possible fundings there, that's why Paul and I were jumping on that right off the bat, is because even if it's a little bit of money, it's anything that we can help to get people in the right place and help them out in any way we can. So with that in mind, that's all I'm going to add, and I have nothing else to talk about at this point in time. So meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I appreciate all the input and all the public input and everybody's input on everything. So thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Great. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.